Okay? So tonight we're going to talk about encourage. We go from 15 mentions of love one another to encourage one another, or some form of encourage is mentioned 6 times just in the New Testament. So you think, okay, 6 times in the New Testament, that's not a whole lot, really, is it, for the entire New Testament? It's not much. Remember, this is the simple phrase, encourage one another. That simple phrase, that's it. There's other times where it talks about encouragement, and it talks about doing all kinds of things for people, but I'm specifically looking at the phrase, encourage one another. And we're going to look at a couple different ways that encourage can be translated, different words that we have for encourage, but they all come from the same Greek root word. So we're going to talk about encouraging one another and what that really means. Because when we think of the word encourage, when we hear that for the very first, we just hear the word encourage, what do we think of? What comes to mind?
Go team.
Okay.
Woo!
Cheering. Okay. What else?
Bring somebody on.
Okay.
Football.
What?
That's not most.
You have to think
I don't really think of football when I hear the word encourage.
I'm thinking
Yes, I do.
coaching.
Our goal, you encourage that varsity team on Friday night.
Okay.
Our coaches tell us a lot.
My
If
coach
one
is
girl
not
is struggling to
encouraging
finish the
you.
last,
Spectators?
you're encouraging. You're
Spectators?
right excited.
Okay.
I think like
I'll show you.
Okay. Encouraging words, but okay. But I'm saying when you hear encourage, okay, encourage others, encouraging words. But what does it really mean to encourage?
What is encourage?
Use something other than the word
Lifting
encourage.
up.
Lifting up. Okay.
Praising. Well, not really.
Okay. No, it can be.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, words with you.
Hyping
Okay.
them up.
Okay. Same thing, basically. Okay. So apparently, obviously, apparently we need to talk about this because we're not sure exactly what it means to encourage. So we're going to dissect that a little bit tonight and talk about it. Okay. This is the first thing on your sheet. Number 1, the first sentence from this: God's people. And let's just that God's people. That's everybody. Let's be honest. Everybody. You can cross out God's people. Just put everybody. Everybody needs encouragement on a regular basis. We do, whether we admit it or not. Of the 5 love languages, words of affirmation is one of those things. And while everybody may not be a words of affirmation love language person, it sure is nice to hear sometimes, hey, you're doing a good job. We really appreciate what you're doing. Hey, that was awesome when you did that. We need to hear that because far too often people are really quick to point out everything that we do wrong. But it takes a lot of courage for some reason for us a lot of times to walk up to someone and say, that was awesome. That was really, really good. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing or whatever it is. It's so much harder for us to encourage someone and give them a praise report than it is for us to talk about someone behind their back. Or to just flat out tell them that was horrible. We can sure do that and we can point fingers, but it's a lot harder for us to encourage. I don't know why. So we're going to try to work on being better about that. We need it because we're not impervious to the pressures or frustrations of life. We all suffer with that. We need encouragement to do God's will because we live in a fallen world with unethical people all around us who confront us with challenges and pressures that cause fatigue, drain our physical battery. Okay, we do it every day, right? We deal with people who just seem to drain our battery, who just drain us of everything that we have. And so we need that encouragement sometimes to literally just push on. Why do you think guys, I'm not a words of affirmation person, but on the bottom of my computer screen back there, I have all the notes that you guys have written because you know what? It means a lot to me. I keep cards and people send them to me and say, I appreciate it when you did this, or we love what you're doing. That kind I keep those things because every now and then, even me, I know it's probably hard for you to believe, even me, I just get frustrated. Or I go, God, am I really supposed to be doing this? Because it seems like I'm not getting anywhere. And so I go back and I read those encouraging notes, and I read things, and it just reminds me of, okay, somebody's actually paying attention to me. Somebody's actually learning something. Somebody's actually getting something out of this. And so that gives us sometimes the extra push to go through it. That's why it's so important that if you can, just a simple note especially to Pastor Sean as he leads this church, just writing him a little something and just say, man, we appreciate you. Or like this past week after Sunday's sermon, I just told this to man, I've been here 4 years now, almost 4 years. I had a lot of great sermons, but this sermon this past Sunday was just absolutely amazing.
He woke me up when I started yelling.
So, That's pretty sad that he actually had to wake you
No, I
up.
don't mean like
You were
asleep.
asleep?
I don't mean like asleep. Like I mean like
You were asleep?
it was like
Uh-huh.
I got my
You've already stepped in it. You might as well just sit in it. So, okay. So, but I mean, so if you weren't able to be here on Sunday, I'm going to really encourage you to go back to our website and watch it. It was an amazing, wonderfully simple, but very powerful message that he delivered on Sunday. And so we're going to look at the opposite of encouragement first, so we can get into the actual encouragement. So to discourage, all right? To discourage is to dishearten, depress, dampen, frustrate somebody else. Webster's dictionary, I'm surprised it actually has a definition for this, but they do, defines discouragement as to deprive of courage or confidence, or to dissuade or attempt to dissuade from doing something. Okay, so to discourage, right? But those are some heavy words. To deprive of courage, to deprive someone of confidence, to literally take something from someone. We may not think a lot of times, that we're I'm not really depriving somebody of courage or confidence, but by the things that we say, by talking negatively about anyone at all, we can actually pull their confidence away, because you know what it's like to be verbally attacked. Okay, whether it's to your face or behind your back, when somebody talks about you and says something negative, all right, it's discouraging. All right, it literally takes away your courage, your confidence in yourself, because somebody looks at you in a negative way. So we have to be very, very careful, especially as Christians, that we're not being discouraging, but we're being encouraging. So let's talk about encouragement real fast. All right, the definition of encourage, okay, and this is why Greek words are so much better than English words, but this is what the word encourage is defined at in Greek. To ask, to beg, or to plead. Notice how it kind of gets, I'm asking you, I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you. Okay, it kind of gets bigger as it goes along. Okay, that's one definition. Another one is to comfort, to exhort, to urge, or also just to call, to invite, encourage somebody to be a part of something. Okay, those are the definitions of encourage that come from the scriptures. So let's talk about it a little bit. Okay, the Greek word for encourage is, can anybody pronounce that?
Let me look.
No, you're all wrong. Sorry, that's okay.
Like,
You didn't take Greek, so it's okay. It's pronounced parakaleo. Okay, so you're close. Parakaleo. Okay, it's used in the New Testament to describe not only giving comfort to someone, but also involves exhortation, urging, strengthening, and even appealing. So you can see where it's not literally just, as you talked about earlier, when I asked for what is encouragement, it's not just saying something nice to someone or giving a verbal praise to someone. It's a whole lot more than that. Okay? Not only giving comfort, but also exhortation, urging, strengthening, and appealing to someone. So it's more than just a simple, I'm encouraging you to be involved in this. Okay? It's a full-on, head-on plea, okay, to help someone. And just for fun, because they see exhort as a word that's not really used in the current translation, but in some older translations. But you've seen it in here already a couple times. It's up in the definition to exhort someone. It's down here in this definition, exhortation. What does exhorting mean?
like to get leave.
no. Exhorting, you're like, it's like, I don't know, the only way I know how to explain it is like overuse. So exhort, you're doing like again, and again.
That's just repeated.
Oh.
But I know we are going with it.
Like,
I know we're
I don't know how
going
to
with it, and
explain
you're
it.
definitely on the right track. Here you go.
The word
Okay.
is too hard.
I can't
Biblical
read.
word, biblical word and definition of exhort, okay, adds even more emphasis than just a simple, hey, please. All right, it's defined as strongly encouraging someone to do something, to have a sense of kind of pushing them into it. Okay, all right. It origins from the Latin word thoroughly and encourage. So it's not just, hey, I'm encouraging you to come to Sunday school. I am really, really thoroughly encouraging you, pushing you, pulling you. Come be a part of it because you need it. It's important. It's amazing. So it's just taking it to that next level. Okay, it's not just an ask or an invite. I guess one of the best ways to put it is, okay, I can invite you to come to something. Like I'm going to invite you to come to Sunday school on Sunday. But exhorting would be, hey, I'm going to invite you to come to Sunday school, and I'm going to be at your house at 8:45 to pick you up and bring you with me. Okay? That's more kind of the exhorting. It's more than just, surface level. It's going a little deeper than that, a little heavier than that. Thoroughly encouraging someone to do something. Strongly encouraging. That's exhorting. So a little bit more than just encouraging. So the verses where encourage one another are listed. Here you go. 1 Thessalonians 4:8. Encourage one another with these words. This comes after a passage where it talks about all kinds of church things from Paul. And at the end he says, hey, encourage one another with these words. Tell people what I've said here. Pass this around so they can encourage one another. So it can help people through the trials of life. Right? Then a little bit later, next chapter, encourage one another, build each other up, just as you're already doing. Okay? Encouraging someone, build them up. Okay? But strongly build them up. Don't just, passing, hey, they encourage one another to always be there. All right? And Hebrews 3, you must warn each other every day. The warn part is where the parakaleo comes in. So it can be translated a couple different ways. Some translations do say you must encourage one another. This one, the NLT says you must warn each other. All right? We'll warn each other every day while it's still today, so that none of you will be deceived by sin and hardened against God. So it's encouraging people to continue to follow God so that they don't drift away, so they don't fall into the world, so they don't fall into, as we talked about in chapel this morning, conforming into the world, or to stay strong with Jesus. So that's Hebrews 3:13. Then just a little bit later on, Hebrews chapter 10, and these two verses in a row, let us think of ways that we can motivate one another to acts of love and good work. That motivate is the same root word, parakaleo. Okay? Let us motivate one another, encourage one another to acts of love and good works. And then let us not neglect our meeting together, as some are to do, but encourage, strongly urge, exhort, push, pull people to get together, especially now the day of his return is drawing near. So, Paul uses this word pretty regularly. Right? He writes a lot of letters and he says, hey, encourage one another. But every time he uses it, it's not just a, hey, I'm going to encourage you to come and join us. It is a, hey, really encourage, get in there, get close, do everything that you can, thoroughly, emphatically encourage one another. All right? So what does this mean for us? All right? What does it mean for us? Christian courage is not the absence of fear. A lot of people think that that's what it is. That is a part of it, but it's not the whole thing. Okay? Christian courage is not the absence of fear. All right? Rather, it's the overcoming of the fear to do that which God says is right. Okay? Catch that. Overcoming the fear to do that which God says is right.
That's the word.
All right? So in other words, to do that, we have to read the Bible to know what God says to do is right. Okay? But then having courage to do that is overcoming the fear, because in today's world, it's hard. In today's school, it's hard to walk down a public school hallway and really live for Jesus because nobody else around you really is. It's really hard. But having courage, and Christian courage, that we're supposed to encourage each other towards, is be able to walk down a hallway of 1,000 other people, and obviously in your cases, there's 2,000 plus people walking down the same hallways as you are at the same time. Okay? Walk down those hallways standing tall for Jesus. Okay? Walk down those hallways looking at people and smiling and being happy and being joyful, even when life seems to be falling apart. Even when you see the person coming all the way down the hallway amongst the face of 1,000 other people, you see that person that you're just not getting along with, and you see that person and you still walk by and you still smile and you still say, hey, how you doing? Missed you at church this past week. How's it going? What's really going on in life? Okay? Don't just give me a fine, just give me an okay. What's really going on? Okay? Overcoming the fear to do which God says is right. Not what society says, not what your teachers say, not even what your parents say. Do what God says is right. Okay? That's courage, the courage that we're looking for. So how do you and I help each other do that? Right? Number one, we share uplifting scriptures. That's why we have the read a chapter a day and put something out on the text group chat every single day. I hope, guys, that you're a part of that. You're actually learning something from what I'm putting out there. But you share it up within Scripture. Hey, I read this and it really spoke to me. Share that with people. Put that on your social media profile pages. Okay? Put that out there, but share it with people that you're close to. Share it with your parents when you read something. Mom, Dad, I read this great verse. You never know. It could be what might inspire them to pick up their Bible and get back into reading it. Or maybe they read something as well, and you can share it together, and that just brings you closer. But share it with your friends. Man, guys, I read this passage, I read this chapter, I read this verse, and it was really good. What do you guys think about this? It's a great way to start up a conversation. It's a great way to strengthen relationships. But share uplifting scriptures with each other. I'd love for you to share scriptures that you read with me, letting me know what you're reading and how it's speaking to you, because it uplifts me when I know that you guys are actually reading the scriptures. So share. Okay. Number 2, give honest words of praise for work performed. Okay, just like Kobe talked about earlier, giving people praise for what they've done. Okay, and I don't know why this is really hard, but it is really hard for us sometimes to walk up to people and say, man, that was really great. Why is it hard to do that? When we hear an awesome new song on the radio, well, we're going to share that like crazy, aren't we? But when somebody does something that we really appreciate and we just think is just, really amazing, why is it so hard for us to just say, you're so good at that? It's hard. But we can point fingers and we can share blame and we can do all kinds of negative things for people real fast. We can talk bad about people behind their back. But how often do we praise somebody to someone else behind their back and just talk good about them? All right, that's part of honoring your parents. Different topic, different subject, different lesson. That's part of honoring your parents that the scriptures command us to do. Is even if we're not getting along with them, we're supposed to respect them. We're supposed to talk kindly about them to other people and not complain about them and fuss about them to other people. Okay, that's part of that. So give honest words of praise when somebody does something well. Okay, just tell people you did a good job with that. Appreciate it. Okay. Number 3, offer assistance to help in a ministry. Seems simple enough, right? What can you do at your age to help out another ministry here? You guys know there's all kinds of different ministries that go on here, not just children's and youth and adult ministries. There's all kinds of things that we do. Right? The women ministry just had a meeting tonight. Okay, Mary, I'm sure there's something that these kids could be doing for a women's ministry event. Maybe you could offer to help out in a child care setting when they're going to have an event and need child care for that, so moms can get away by themselves with other moms and have a Bible study. That's a huge, huge thing. It's not very big on your part, but it can be huge for a mom. Or just when you go to the store, Mom, Dad, we need to get a thing of toothpaste. Toothpaste. What? Port ministry. Okay? We bring in toothpaste, we give it to the port ministry. They use that when they actually go onto the boats. All right, and they introduce themselves to guys. Hey, here's a care package. It's got soap and deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush, all those hygiene things that you might run out of while you're at sea for months at a time. Here's a care package for you. Oh, also, by the way, let me tell you about Jesus. That's what they do. All right, and there's only a handful of people that can do this, but they can go onto any boat in the port and talk to people. And they just give them this little goodie bag, and they share Jesus with them. It's a huge, huge ministry that touches literally the entire face of the earth. But just buying toothpaste can be a part of that. When we have an outreach, get involved in it, do something. There's all kinds of things that you can do to help out in the ministry around your church. Use the gifts that you have. If you're a techie person, we're always looking for people to help in the sound booth. If you'd like to be trained on how to run the soundboard, or how to run the TV ministry, or how to run the computer back there with the words on the screen, okay? You can be trained on that. So you can be put into that if there's a need. You're running short on people, maybe you can fill in. Or maybe it's just to get you ready for that down the road. There's all kinds of things that you can do behind the scenes to assist in the ministry that goes on right here in this church. So think about that. Pray about that and ask God where He wants you to be involved in that. And then the last thing, give of your personal resources to support the work of others. It kind of goes along with offer assistance to help in the ministry, except that is actually you physically getting involved and helping in that. And number 4 here, your personal resources. Okay, I know you're teenagers. You may not have a whole lot of money, but you know what? Would you be willing to commit to when you go to the store a couple times a month, out of your pocket, buy a tube of toothpaste or a pack of toothpaste and bring it in? Okay, again, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that tube of toothpaste could be what could allow somebody in the port ministry to share Jesus with somebody. So your $1, $2, whatever thing of toothpaste could be the difference in somebody hearing about Jesus for the first time and receiving Jesus as their Savior. Okay, a small investment to be able to be a part of that. Your personal resources. Do you have something else that you can give? Do you have something maybe that can be donated to one of our ministries to help them fulfill a need, whatever that they might have? Okay, we've all got these resources. The biggest one that we have, guys, is we have time. You have time. How can you, again, it's back to number 3, they kind of go hand in hand together. Okay? How can you jump in and volunteer and be a part of a ministry that goes on?